But anyway, yeah, welcome to the stream. My name is Brian. I'm in the chat, the group. Twitch channel is also Protocontent16. I do some game streams, stuff like that. We have John, which is See No Evil. He's right underneath me.
What's going on, guys?
And then we have Blaze, also known by Exhales on Twitch. And then we have Dustin, which is also part of the group. He's actually an admin in the group. A little bit of a rundown. Basically, we're going to do stuff like talking about just how we were just a few minutes ago. Just talking about, you know, video cards, you know, headsets, everything like that. John has some special things going on with a few companies. Hopefully we'll be able to do some reviews, maybe some live builds, stuff like that. Do some giveaways even. But yeah, it's basically going to be a computer tech talk, whatever you want to call it. I probably shouldn't say tech talk because who knows, Jay's 2 cents might come in here and freaking copyright us. But yeah, anyway, guys, if you want to introduce yourself, something, just give a shout out. Like I said.
All right, I guess I'll start. My name is technically Blaze. I go by Exile and Blaze in most of the games and stuff that I play. I do a little bit of World of Warcraft, play old school games like Half-Life and other arena shooters. Online, I build computers. Right now, mine has a power supply hanging off of my wire ties, and got a little bit of fun poked at me on CEMR on Facebook for that. But right now, just busy with school and playing games and hanging out and trying to get into the whole stream thing. So seeing how it works out. I like it so far. It's pretty cool.
Dustin, you want to go next?
No, you go ahead. I got some stuff going on around here.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm John. I'm also an admin in CEMR, also known as See No Evil 78. I'm a gamer. Have over 700 games in Steam and probably about 200 games in other areas. I like building rigs. I like gaming mostly and talking about rig stuff. I do have some stuff in the works, so we can get some stuff on here to review with a bunch of different companies that I'm trying to work with to see if we can get some products to review. And then anything we get to keep, we're going to give away to you guys that view the stream. So hopefully the stream will get bigger and we'll have more people in here and things like that, so we can give away some free stuff. And I will be getting some dog hair clippings from Dustin's dog so that we can give that away as well. Dustin will be mailing that to you personally. And we're working on getting Alvis on the stream as well, you know, trying to book a date for him, but you know, his people make it difficult for us. Dustin?
Just give him a rundown. Yeah, just, you know, because you're an admin and stuff, so.
Yeah, just go along more with what John was saying. Just trying to get more going along with the group, trying to get it more active. My dog's gonna make some noise now.
Yeah, that's a huge part of what the whole concept behind the stream was. I know Alvis was asking us like what the whole deal is, and that's been the big thing is like, you know, too many, like we have a huge group, like it's what 8,500 plus members, you know.
Yeah, I think we're at 8.6 now.
Yeah. Okay. Essentially this stream is gonna bring some live interaction between the group. Gonna, you know, for anybody that's not, you know, that's might be watching the stream or watching this video, Computer Enthusiast Master Race is what CEMR stands for, and we're, you know, a bunch of techies, you know, computers, gaming, you name it, completely enthusiast. Some of these builds that some of these guys do are off the chain, but no, in this day and age, you know, a lot of people have become very dependent on Facebook and turned into like Facebook warriors and
yeah,
keyboard warriors, whatever you want to call them. And you know, maybe if, especially in our group, we've had issues like that. Every group will, but with this, maybe it'll kind of bring some live interaction between everybody. and just kind of help people get to know who they're in the same group with. You know, develop friendships. It gives a chance for the people in the group to meet the admins and realize that the admins are, you know, human beings just like you, and they're not just, you know, some power crazed, hungry, you know, monster. You know, like a lot of
even the best of trolls. Even the best of trolls, when they put a face to your name on Facebook or something like that, tend to calm down a little bit. But I think for as many members as we have on Computer Enthusiast Master Race, that it's actually quite there's not as much of that as I thought there was going to be. Of course, I guess, you know, you got Dustin, Alvis, Adam, you know, John, everybody poking around throughout the day, keeping control of some of that stuff. So that helps too. But yeah, man.
Yeah,
I'm pretty excited about what we got going on right now. I think this has been a long time in the making for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and honestly, I've only been in the group for about 8 months, roughly. I think I joined at the beginning of this year, right after Christmas, and you know, I've been in several other computer groups and things like that, because especially before I did my current build and everything, it was pretty cool to be able to join a group and have that instant sort of information. Like if you had questions or anything like that, you could ask somebody. But yeah, we're very active. There is a link down in the bottom. If you look at the social, I believe it is, that's actually a button to the group's page. It's a closed group, but you can request an invite. One of the admins probably more than happy to accept you. But you know, like any other group, just respect people, and you'll find that a lot of people will be more than willing to help you with just about anything. Some of the stuff in the group, I mean, it could be consoles. I mean, and there's people that know about that stuff, you know, even though it's a computer
get
group.
One or two memes about console peasantry, but other than that, a lot of us also play console games. I like how Dustin raised his hand, even though it wasn't at what I said. It was still kind of appropriate.
But,
just so you guys know, besides Alvis, there's actually the guy who owns our group. You guys don't really know him because you don't see him too much. He's always in the background, doing things. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like Alvis is our head nigga in charge. You know, he's the face. You know, but there's actually a guy who's behind it all, and his name is John as well. I'm gonna see if I can get him on here one day as well. People put a face to his name. He's a little bit more on the down low. You know, keeps himself. He's kind of quiet. But I'm gonna see if we can get him in here. Yeah, I talk to John a lot though, so I think I can finagle him to come in here for like a hot 10 minutes, you know.
Yeah.
All I had to do was mention to Dustin that he could talk about his tight X's, and he was here. You know, if it wasn't for that, he still probably wouldn't.
Yeah. He's like, when are we doing the live benchmarking, man?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm not going to call myself a guru when it comes to like setting up these Twitch streams, but I've got a good understanding. Like, I could easily, you know, even say one of these guys were streaming. Say they were streaming, but at the same time had their cam going for this chat. They were playing a game. This background you see, I could actually have that as their gameplay. I know how to do it, so. But yeah, there's a lot of things that we could do. I mean, we could always set it up to where we're, you know, somebody's doing a live build, and the rest of us are doing this. And the other thing is,
a lot of stuff I'm building coming up here shortly. So.
Yeah, exactly.
And the people's rig. Me and John were just talking about this the other day. We're like, we got to get Alvis to do the people's rig building while he's. I don't care how many hours a day that he works. I was like, you're gonna get on there and you're gonna do it, because it's just, I think it would be cool for everybody to see live, especially like on stream where they can go back and watch.
Yeah, definitely.
But we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, we can get Dustin on here building live. I know he don't mind. He'll build for us.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And all his overclocking and all his, you know, his 18 different graphics cards in one rig.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
We'll get him going. But
friggin' rigs that cost more than my car.
besides that, we'll have video games on here, guys. So like when some of the new games come out, like coming up in October, I think we got 3 or 4 new games coming out with Battlefield 1.
Yeah.
We also have Titanfall 2.
Yep.
There'll be a few games, and I'm sure I'm gonna have them. So I mean, we can post video gameplay. We'll all probably be playing together. I know Dustin will get it because Dustin's a gamer as well. You know, Protocon, and you guys will probably all get it. Blaze. So this way we can watch one stream, but we'll all be playing in the same game, and you guys can see how it runs, and we can kind of critique the game when we're done and stuff like that too. So you get to see game reviews, product reviews. Trying to get Alvis on here talking water cooling and overclocking.
Yeah.
Dustin's here. He's going to talk overcooling and overclocking and water cooling and PC builds and stuff like that.
Yep.
So we're all going to bring a little something to the table. I'm a basic builder. I build machines. I try to build the best machine I can at the time, and then I move on, and I'm mostly about the games where like Dustin is, you know, he's a monster builder. Alvis is a monster builder. All these guys build in different aspects. So, you know, some people are going to do builds with, you know, like budget builds and stuff like that. And then other people are going to do, you know, above budgets. And then people are going to go crazy and sell their life like Dustin has. So he can afford all that shit that he's got.
Selling his soul to the devil.
Well, just
He lives out of a Chevy trunk, you know, right now. This is his mom's house he's streaming from.
You guys seen Supernatural? I went to the crossroads, okay?
Yeah.
soul to soul.
Do it.
But yeah, going back to what you were saying about Alvis being really good with like water cooling, I mean, that's one of the big aspects I think that this channel can actually bring that Facebook kind of doesn't really fill that hole that it doesn't fill. You know, it's one thing to, you know, go on Facebook and see somebody asking a question in text about something, issue that they're having with water cooling or whatever the case may be. You get somebody on here talking, you see their face, you see their expressions, you can hear them, they can clearly explain to you without having to type it out, and you can, you know, it's just that extra bit of interaction, that human interaction that will make things a lot easier. And I mean, and that's just something that our group does on a day-to-day basis. I mean, it's just everything, you know, a guy asking about how he can change the, you know, the speed of an LED fan, you know, or something like that. It's just random stuff. And, you know, there's so many different things that we can go over in this channel.
We get questions on our Facebook page all the time about guys who want to do slight upgrades. They're not sure if they should go with an i5, an i7. If they do, how even people who admin the channel get on there and they ask people different questions. I remember when Adam was having problems with his water setup and he was freaking out. Well, he's freaked out a bunch of times, but you know, just I think this would be a really good place to have questions answered, or at least for people in the stream to troubleshoot also. Because you know, even
right there is, you may not know it all, but I at least know enough people that I could ask.
Yeah,
exactly.
To get us a decent question.
There's
with all the members we have in CMR, you know, I mean, there's always somebody who has an answer, that's for sure. And there's always somebody somewhere who's actually gone through what you've gone through and I'll be like, hey, you know what? The way to fix that is this way. This is how I fixed it. And with so many different builds, there's always people that have very similar, if not almost the exact same builds, because everybody's always buying the same stuff, you know, when it comes out, everybody's jumping on that card or this CPU, things like that. So you'll definitely find an answer with us because our group is so big. And then being able to be live and ask a question while we're here, again, you know, if one of the 4 people that are in this stream, because it might be different 4 people, you know, it might be, you know, different 3 people. I know Protocon will always be here because he's the host, but like if you have 3 other people in here, they might be able to get the question answered or reach out to somebody who can. So like, yeah, there's always that access to be able to get the right answer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
So, what are you guys playing these days? I gotta ask.
So I hopped on the No Man's Sky train, but the thing was, I started playing Star Citizen in about April time frame, and then I stopped. So that kind of got me into the whole idea of space games. So I was like, I kind of just gave No Man's Sky a try. I didn't really look at I don't like looking at a lot of previews or a lot of reviews like before I actually play a game, because then it can kind of sway you to either not play it.
And a lot of the time, people don't know what they're talking about. They can't tell you what you like, you know?
Yeah, so I mean, some people do whatever, but and then now I started playing. I stopped playing that last few days, and I started getting on back on to Star Citizen. Apparently, it's changed a lot in the last couple months because I didn't really play a lot because I was playing a lot of Overwatch.
Star Citizen and No Man's Sky. I've been hearing a lot about these two games lately, and now I have to go look.
Well, the thing is Star Citizen has been like in alpha for a
Yeah.
very long. And they're coming
That's
out.
that game with the different ships, and they had all that pre-order stuff, right?
Yeah.
It's not really a pre-order. It's like I don't know. It's like
It was
funding-
years ago, yeah. It was like years ago. I remember back in like 2009 it was being talked about because I used to play EVE Online a lot, and I'm still an EVE Online player, just not really sub to it at the moment. But yeah, I remember back in 2009 when I started that game, people were talking about it, and it just seemed like years and years went on of it being talked about and hyped, and people pre-ordering, you know, ships that they can't even use yet for a few $100s, and yeah, it's. I haven't got to play it, but I mean I checked it out. It's kind of you basically you have to buy a starter pack. Is the thing, and they're like $45 or
Yeah.
something like that. But I mean I've heard that it's gotten better.
Another thing is it's
We just
kind of
lose
a
somebody?
community where you can have multiple people. What was that?
No, I thought we lost the mic right there. Sorry.
I think he was pinging out for a second.
I thought you didn't have to buy a starter pack. At least when I started playing, I could be wrong.
I looked at it the other day, and like the first thing it says, like when you want to play, is select your ship, and like one, you know, both the ships are like you have to buy a pack before you can download it.
I had a buddy telling me that the ships that were on there, people were spending like $2,000.
So they have packages, and you can buy like every ship. Some of the big ships, I think it goes up like 15 grand.
Oh my lord, dude!
Yeah,
And,
that's
and people were actually buying those.
I don't know specifically if you can see who was buying what, but I guarantee there was at least one person.
Dude, I wish I had $15 or $15,000 to blow. Yeah, I wish I had $15 as well. But $15,000 to blow on a game that wasn't even out at the time, probably yet. You know.
yeah. Well, it's
I don't play No Man's Sky. I haven't jumped on that bandwagon yet. I'm kind of waiting a little bit till everything kind of clears up. I do play Elite Dangerous, which some people have compared the two, and they keep saying that Elite is still better than No Man's Sky. So that's kind of what's keeping me at bay from like jumping on that bandwagon. For me, one of the things I like most is actually like landing and taking off and stuff like that. Like trying to get it centered and drop it down. And I hear like for like No Man's Sky, you can't land the plane yourself.
There's
You
so
can't land
much
the ship
autopilot.
yourself.
Like
Yeah,
even you can't even try to like on planets. It will go over objects. It won't let you crash if you want to.
wow.
Oh wow.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
So,
see,
like,
that's what takes away from me, like from a game. Like I want to be able to control my ship all the way through the game.
One of the I mean, for a space game where you're constantly traveling, constantly having to land, and then like even when you're in space and you try to go to like the space stations, it auto lands for you. So it's like there's
Right.
no
Yeah.
real, and then all you do to land on a planet is you hit a button.
That's
then-
kind of strange.
And then not only that, if there's nowhere specifically to land when you hit the button, it'll wait until there is a place you can land, and then it'll auto land for you.
That's
Yeah, I
weird.
don't-
That's
I don't
almost like
like
in
that.
Warframe, wherever you have like your main ship, and your main ship doesn't do anything, but then you can get like a little suit that lets you fly around, and it's like, dude, I want to take that massive ship that I was just in somewhere and go wreck stuff, Not just walk around in it.
Yeah.
So apparently,
I don't
one
know
of the
if you-
things about Star Citizen that people are going to start comparing No Man's Sky to is the fact that the 3.0 update, you're going to be able to go onto
Go on to
Onto
what?
go land onto planets.
Oh, okay.
So what's going to happen is you're going to see a lot of. I mean, if people are comparing Elite Dangerous and No Man's Sky, and now people are going to compare No Man's Sky to Star Citizen, you're going to be able to kind of compare all three, but they're
Yeah.
all a little different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm tempted to really get checking into those
Yeah.
because primarily a first-person shooter guy who just happens to play World of Warcraft, and there hasn't been much in the way of first-person shooters that have really excited me lately. I mean, Battlefield 1, I really want to try. I'm not going to hold my breath, but I know a lot of people are going to be into it. So, but a game that does look really cool to me that's supposed to come out in September, I believe, is a game called Toxic, which is I guess you would call it an Unreal Tournament style game. It's like an arcade shooter, sort of. It's like a Quake meets Unreal Tournament meets Half-Life or something. And it's been looking real cool, and supposedly they're going to have free to play as much as you want. The only difference is, and there's no microtransactions in the game, it's just you can buy the basic pack that gives you more copies or more map lists. And the game for one person is only $18.99, and if you get a pack for 4 people, it's $54 or $55. And the game just looked really fluid. These guys have been working on this for a couple of years. I even saw a stream or video where Fatality did, real famous guy. He used to be on half of my gaming stuff at one time, my headphones and my sound card. Fatality was doing a 1v1 where he was going 40-0 in this game. It just looks awesome. You guys can check it out on the Steam store.
Yeah, I've always been a pretty big space genre sci-fi game. Played Star Trek, EVE Online, like I said. What else? Space Engineers. I'm really big into like the more of the survival types of games. I mean, I do play some more of the instant action types of games, like World of Warships. Right. World of Warships is a big one that I play all the time. There's actually another streamer that I play with. He's pretty cool. He actually might even be on the stream one of these days. I believe he said he was in the IT field and stuff like that. He's not in the group, but let me see if I can't change that. Rust is another big one. Yeah, he's a really cool guy. Bismarck83. You should check him out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you got to talk to him. He's pretty cool.
Yeah. He's a funny dude.
Yeah, he likes to play them pirate games and stuff because he actually has a real parrot that he'll put on his stream and stuff. Yeah.
CEMR TV with the dude with the parrot.
And I'll tell you what, man, if you ever get a chance to talk to him, tell him to especially if he's drunk, tell him to sing the SpongeBob theme song, the pirate, he's head on with it, But yeah, I mean, I play a lot of genres and stuff like that, and shooters every once in a while. No Man's Sky, I'm gonna keep referring back to it, just seems like everybody talks about it right now. I put it on my wish list a long time ago. I was a little disappointed to see that it was $60 to begin with. I mean, I'm a little cheap, but at the same time, I usually kind of like to wait for games to.
You gotta be these days, though.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really going to go with the hype of the comments. Like, I understand a lot of people had problems with it, and then most of them problems have been fixed, and it's mostly been with the NVIDIA drivers or whatever. And but from what I've heard from everybody that says the game runs fine, the gameplay is actually really good. It'd be really cool if it was multiplayer, just for how massive the universe is on it. But
it's supposed to be, apparently.
Yeah, that's what it was supposed to have been. Yeah.
I didn't check out the
like
game.
2 guys, like the whole thing of the game was like you couldn't, you would never see another player in the universe. But didn't they say like an hour into the game being released, like 2 guys landed on the same planet?
Yeah, one guy saw that a planet had already been named.
Oh.
So what happened is the other guy landed. He found the guy. I think they were both Twitch people. He found him. They got in contact. And they tried to meet like on the space station and the planet. What are you doing? Big ass dog, big ass noises. What is it?
He's dreaming.
Yeah. So apparently they tried to meet each other, and they went to the same planet, but they were at different times of the day at the same location, and they couldn't see each other. And
that's crazy.
What they were saying, the game developers or whatever, was saying that it was because they were on different servers.
Oh yeah, so they're totally phased, but even though they're in the same spot.
Exactly. So I mean, I don't know. So I don't really know. We'll see.
Yeah.
I'm watching the videos of it now, and I do remember seeing content about this before, that like videos of this like a long time ago on here. This actually looks really cool and really strange at the same time.
Yeah, and I mean, you would have figured, like, with all the games that were, like, coming out at the time, like, you know, all the, like, survival type games, like, how many of them survival games that were out already whenever No Man's Sky was first being displayed were single player? I can't think of one. And then you see No Man's Sky, and it's like, you know, a game like that deserves to be multiplayer. You know, it's like, that's, you know,
that's the biggest drawback for me too. Is like, it's like, one, I like playing with a group. I play with a group called PvE, and I like to play with people. So rather than like play single player shit and just, you know, anti-social kind of like environment, I'd rather be in games where I'm playing with other people. We're doing missions together. We're doing tasks together. You know, like Elite Dangerous, you know, and stuff like that, where, you know, you can actually go and wreck shop. I mean, I have guys in the group that play it a lot. I mean, I haven't played Elite Dangerous a lot. I tried it out for a little while. I'm going to get back to it. I actually like flying games. I want to get a flight stick before I get back into it, because playing with a controller or trying to play mouse and keyboard is not as much fun as actually holding down a flight stick.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, but they play it, like, you know, I have a friend, his name's Bushido, and I have another friend named Kruger. They both play it religiously, you know, and they used to play it religiously, but they got really far and they got really good at the game. So I mean, you know, stuff like that, you know, is better when you're playing with people, because especially a place like a game like No Man's Sky, where like they said you ain't bumping into anybody in the universe anytime soon. So at least if you're out there with your boys, or, you know, you're gaming with some people, you can actually check stuff out together rather than you just sitting on a lonely ass planet by yourself, walking around seeing some freaky ass dinosaurs, you know.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
I think that's
definitely.
one of the big selling points.
That was one of the things that was cool about Rust. Yeah, even
Yeah,
though
Rust, but
I don't think Rust will ever be released. A final release will ever come out on it, but it would have been cool. Like, I think some of these games would be a lot better if they had the option for both. You know, like a single player survival type. Even if they had it like just on the same servers, phased away from the other people. You know, where you couldn't see anybody but you were playing single player. I'd be cool with that. My problem with Rust was it just wasn't any fun unless you were playing with people, like friends. At least for me.
There's like
a lot of these games are like that though. Like, you know, like, I'm sorry, they like, they create this environment that's perfect for multiplayer, but then you're just stuck there, you know, like, and you're
Hey,
like,
Kruger,
if
how's it going, buddy?
Friend, you know, if I just had a friend playing, oh, Kruger, I just sent him a message to join and check us out. But yeah, it's like, you know, it's like, you know, these games that they make are perfect for, like, you know, if I was playing with a friend, we would, you know, explore and stuff, and then you're like, dang, I'm here by myself. So after a while, no matter how good the game is, unless it's going to keep changing ways, it's going to get boring without somebody there to hang out with. So I don't know.
It's the same way I feel about World of Warcraft sometimes. Even though the world is so big, the last expansion just seems so small. You know, they had the for those of you guys who aren't familiar, they had the garrisons, and it was kind of a way for you to make money and get resources and stuff. But the problem is that unless somebody was in your party, they couldn't phase into the garrison, and you were so dependent on your garrison for all of your resources and income that you almost never left unless you needed to go off and do something. So you felt like you were always by yourself. It felt like you were playing World of Warcraft single player.
Oh yeah, I haven't delved enough into the World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
I tried it for a little while up until like level 20, and it drove me nuts. So I haven't picked it up again after that.
You don't know how many people I've heard that have said that. I always tell them, you got to hit max level before it gets to be interesting. But then it's like, if you don't like levels 1 through 20, how much can you stand getting up to max? You know.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like walking everywhere was the worst thing in the world. Even when I played with friends who had like mounts and stuff like that, I was like, "Fuck, I gotta walk everywhere." These guys are. By the time I get there, they're already walking. They're already on their way back, and they finished the quest. And I'm like, "Oh man, screw
It
this."
used to be horrible back in the day too, man, because you would have to run everywhere until you hit level 40, and then when you finally got that first ground mount, which was slow, you were hoping that you could afford that to be able to actually use it, and you were broke again.
Yeah, I can't do the World of Warcraft. I mean, I play everything else. I love driving games. Like I love playing any kind of racing genre. I do a lot of. I like to play anything where you can race with people, like legit racing though. I also like bumping and grinding racing. You know, stuff like Need for Speed where you're pushing people off tracks and shit. But
Need
yeah,
for Speed's fun. I just don't have a wheel. Everybody tells me that I got to get these wheels now.
yeah. I mean, you know what? If you're gonna be serious about driving games, then you should get a wheel only because most of them like if you play Project Cars and you're playing with a controller or mouse and keyboard, who's it's very rare. But if you're playing with a controller, you can actually feel the drag of the car and it slows you down. Whereas like when you're playing with a wheel, it's smoother. I've actually raced friends with the same exact car on the same exact track, and we're racing right next to each other. And when I move left to right, you can see my car slow down because I'll be playing on a controller and they'll be playing on a wheel. I mean, I have a wheel, it's just an old ass wheel. So
Right.
So, Shadowser, sorry if I screwed your name up, says there's a Humble Bundle live right now, and if you pay $6 or more, you can get Rust, Space Engineers, Shelter 2, Tharsis, Savage Lands, and Colat. So if you pay $6 or more, you get them games for free?
I haven't heard of anything except for Rust, but even $6 for Rust sounds good.
Yeah,
I
Rust
believe Shadow,
is worth it.
I think Shadow he's a guy who's in our group, a younger guy who's in our group as well with PVE. I think it's Shadow LZR is the way you say his name. Yep, that's Shadow. Yeah, he's one of the kids that hang out with us on that TeamSpeak you guys are on now. I think Blaze is gonna start playing some WoW with the people that I play with on PVE and stuff.
Yeah, dude,
okay.
shout outs to Kruger. He's got me in there.
Yep. Yep. And you guys are welcome to come play, even though Dustin's gonna spend all his time overclocking his graphics cards and playing no games.
Hey,
I'm gonna keep on your ass.
I'm gonna be the first to admit I am super pumped for Dustin's overclocking segments. Although, if he doesn't do them live on Twitch, I might have to put up a straw poll to get him banned from his own, group.
No, he is.
So
He's stoked
we're
about
gonna
this.
take a little break. We're gonna talk about one of the Titans right now.
Do it. Do it.
Yeah.
I'm interested in this.
So
Let's
this is the third one I had. I kind of just did some quick little benchmarks on, because right now actually I'm going into multiple machines, so I'm trying to figure out like where they fall, so I can kind of pair two equally to each other in the same one, and then get my my highest one to my mini ITech system, and then my lowest one to my other.
Spinning your own Titan Nexus.
Basically.
Can you hold it up in front of your face, Dustin? 'Cause I'd rather look at that than look at that mug of yours. Can I just see it?
Right here. And so they all hit. So this one hit 2063 on the core. My middle one hit 2076, and my highest was at 2088. All those numbers go probably higher. I said I just did quick little.
Push that over 2100, or you custom voltage? You have custom voltage
No,
options yet?
this is like out of the box what it could do.
Wow,
Man.
that's
Oh
nasty.
shit. Wow.
So the line with older cards like generally 970s and 980s could overclock up, higher than like a 980 Ti, and then 980 Ti's would overclock more than a Titan X.
Right.
But, I mean, I'm hitting higher cores than some people are saying they're hitting on 1070s.
Which is ridiculous because some of the 1070s that I've seen benchmarks on, like the Zotac one, especially I think the EVGA, but especially the Zotac, I know for sure they're clocking really high right out of the box. I'm surprised that the Titan X, without you messing with the voltages, that you're going that high.
It's Turbo Boost 3.0 is funky. Another thing is if anyone has seen Jay's 2 cents videos
Yeah.
on his overclocking the 1080, he does some, I can't remember the video exactly, but he does mess with some voltage, but you can't mess with voltages on Titan X's yet.
Okay.
So we need that to happen. Another thing is so on all the Pascal cards I've had, so that's 3 Titan X's I've messed with and 1 1070, maxing the TDP slider all the way, every single card was, at least showing me through MSI Afterburner, was pulling more than what it said it was supposed to.
Oh wow.
So this one right here, I think I set it to 120, which was 20 over, and 20 over was the max. This one was pulling like 125.
Jeez.
But I mean, it could just be an issue because there's some issue like GPU Z can't check the ASICs on these yet. At least the newest version. The older version would give you some wonky numbers.
Yeah.
I mean, some 1080s were saying that they're like perfect, 100%.
I'm surprised. I thought usually they had ASIC rate quality built in before the release before they were ever released.
I'm just thinking they did something different with these, and that for some reason, I don't know, I haven't looked into it too much.
Yeah. And I'm wondering if these cards or if these things are actually binned really high straight from the factory too, because it seems like NVIDIA's had troubles pushing out these newer cards like they have in the past.
Who knows what NVIDIA's doing?
Because I don't know if you've noticed, but like these Titans, these new Titans are flying off the shelves faster than I've ever seen. Like the 1080, same thing, and it seems like either the supply is way higher than they were back in the 9 series, or they're having troubles with the manufacturing process.
Okay,
or something.
so I actually I'm a business major, so I can kind of see things maybe a little differently if I wasn't. So
Right.
one of the things people are wondering why they're charging so much for the 10 series and the Titan X, because it seems to be, a little more than what they have done for the past for equivalent
Right.
cards. And I've been thinking it's because the supply isn't there.
Yeah.
So what happens is in economics,
You gotta
want
make
the
up.
supply and demand to be in equilibrium. What I think they've done is they've increased the price to basically lower the demand and try to bring it closer to the equilibrium.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes
create
sense.
an urgency, create an urgency as well through the purchase process. So this way, if you know they're flying off the shelves, the minute it becomes available, you like don't hesitate to drop that money on it and grab it off the shelf. And they're doing that now also because if you think about the time frame when they're releasing now in toward the end of the summer. So there's no holidays really. There's nothing to keep people from cutting their cash flow loose, and then dropping the price closer to Christmas around $1,000 or so on and so forth. So I think the marketing on this is perfect. It's spot on. Whether they technically really have the actual stock and they're just holding it back to make it seem urgent, or they don't have the stock and they're saying screw it, what we got we're going to sell it at top dollar so that we can make a ton of cash now, and then we can always pull the price back later for the holidays.
Exactly, and correct me if I'm wrong also, but I don't think that board partners even have these Titans.
No,
In
they
stock,
never
right?
make custom Titans.
Yeah. That's another
Yeah.
reason why it's so
I
much.
think in the past they were allowed to make the same version that NVIDIA made. Like they can make the Titans, but they just couldn't. They could slap aftermarket coolers on them like EVGA did, but they
Right,
couldn't mess with the PCBs. PCBs were 100% designed by NVIDIA. That's it. But this time it seems like NVIDIA is trying to become somebody who sells cards all the time.
Yeah.
And another reason why that the founders cards are costing so much more is because they don't want to actually cannibalize their own sales
Yeah.
of the all the other manufacturers like MSI, EVGA, Asus, Gigabyte. Because if they were, if 1080s were $600 and NVIDIA was selling those, I mean, people would go for the cheaper ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, generally. So what they're doing is they're making the price higher, so that way people don't want to buy as much of them, and that way it's not really hurting anyone's sales.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a funky business decision that seems to be going on here.
Yeah, and not only that, but I'm hoping that AMD really starts continuing the trend that they did with the 480 and releasing cards that are hitting all the marks like price point ratios and everything, because that's just gonna even the playing field a little bit. Even if they don't release a card that compares to the top tier cards, and it's the same thing with Intel CPUs too. Intel doesn't have any competition really right now, so they can charge pretty much whatever they want.
Well, at least on the consumer side, I mean, there's not that many people who go out and buy, Titans compared to the 1060s and 1070s. Like, I think for a while there, the 970 on Steam was the most used graphics card.
Oh, really? That doesn't surprise me.
I could be wrong. I'm not quoting that. It's been a while, but I mean, generally,
John's camera crashed or something.
Oh.
He's still in Skype.
No, I shut it off for a second.
Oh, okay.
And I was feeling bad for AMD too, Dustin, because they had the 480 out, and then it seems like NVIDIA already had many SKUs ready to go. They just dropped the 1060, and then they were like, "Well, we're gonna drop." I don't know if it's out yet or not. And they're like, "Yeah, we're gonna drop a 1060, 3 gigabytes or something like that."
So another thing I want to say is, I got a few things. First, a 1080 Ti, I don't see that happening. First,
really, you're the first guy I've heard that said that.
I
thought they were going to drop it next week.
I'm gonna tell you why. Because, and then not only if the 1080 Ti does come out, I think the Titan X, the new one, will still beat it. Only because the main issue with a lot of the original Titans is they couldn't clock as high as the 980 Ti's. So I mean, if you could get 1550 to 1600 on a 980 Ti, a Titan X would have to be over 1500 megahertz just to get that.
Yeah.
Another issue is like I said, I got this Titan X going faster than some 1070s and some 1080s, I'm sure. I think Dan, the admin from the group, he tested 2 1080 Ti's.
Yeah.
He did some black magic stuff, and he had one that hit 2150-ish, and another hit I think like 2080, and that was I believe with water cooling and some other stuff, and those were founders cards.
Oh wow, are you serious?
And
no water cooling. He didn't do it with the water cooling.
Yeah, there's some silicon lottery, but I got my Titan X on air to do 2088.
Oh, wow. See, I forgot that you didn't have any of those underwater yet, so yeah.
No, I'm waiting on backplates, because EK kind of jumped the gun. They got their water blocks out on the 16th, but the backplates aren't coming out until the 29th.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I saw somewhere on Twitch, somebody Madi Mods, I think his name is, or something like that. He actually posted a picture because he gets a lot of stuff from EK because he's one of their distributors. He gets stuff early, so he actually has a picture of the backplate and the water cooling unit for those Titan X's, and I was like, wow. They look kind of funky. They got like something on the actual plate that's kind of like sticking out, rather than just having that normal flat plate. It looks kind of weird. When I get a hold of it, Dustin, I'll send you a link so you can take a look at it. I think it's Modern Mods or something like that. Yeah, I'll send you guys all the link when I get a hold of it. But I don't know about that. Them not dropping a 1080 Ti. I don't know about that. I'm gonna
get into that a little bit more right now. Okay. So first off, the Titan X is already cut down. Usually, it'd be the 980 Ti cut down from the Titan X. So what's happened is the P6000, the $6,000 card, is getting the full chip. This one, the $1,200 card, is getting 300 less cores. So I mean, there's not much space for even memory, because I mean, 1080 has 8 gigs. The Titan X has 12 gigs. So unless the 1080 Ti comes out, it's gonna have to have less cores and less memory.
I was thinking it would be somewhere around like 10 gigabyte range.
That doesn't. I don't think that works with chip wise, with the amount of chips. So it'd have to be a.
It might not. Yeah.
So what I was thinking, if they're gonna do anything, they probably give it less cores and 8 gigs, or less cores and 12 gigs. And then they'd have to cap it some. It doesn't make.
And then it wouldn't make sense if they did 12.
Right, because if you look at it, the 1080 is about the price of 980 Ti's were, and this Titan X is the same, a little bit more than the regular Titan X.
Well,
it's like they don't need to fit a card in there.
Well, right. even if they, sorry, go ahead.
And then I'm going to continue on my little thing here.
Yeah.
But I also think the next generation of NVIDIA cards is coming out sooner than people realize, and I think that's another reason why I'm not going to drop a 1080 Ti.
Well, I kind of think I was kind of thinking about that too. Like whenever I heard 1080 Ti, I'm like, well, in a way, if you think about it, like because if they do the 1080 Ti, they're probably going to do the 1070 Ti as well, right?
No, they only ever do the
No.
They only ever do the 80s.
And technically, they didn't even do that for the 600 series. There was a 680, then there was a 690, which was two 680s, but there was no Ti version.
Oh, okay.
It almost seems like, in terms of the way the cards are released, because it came out like bam, 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 bam. It almost seems like the 1080 is like the Ti series of this generation, because the 1070 is pretty much beaten up on the 980 Ti, and even the Titan X, right? The original Titan X from Maxwell. So. Yeah. What you're saying would kind of make sense. I think. What do you think we would see around like fall? New cards dropping, or maybe January?
I don't know. I mean, so basically, if they continue on with the Maxwell, because Pascal is supposed to be like a shrunken down Maxwell with some other stuff, according to my knowledge. I mean, so if they follow that, then there's still a 1050 to come out, as well as a possible 1080 Ti. But if you look at it, the 980 and the 970 dropped in September of 2014. Because I remember that. I just bought like a couple 780 Ti's. So I was having a bad day. And then, so I think the Titan X didn't come out until like March, April of the following year. So there's a good 5 or 6 months in between.
Yeah.
And then I think a 1060 or 960 came out a little either before or after that. I'm not entirely sure of the timeline. But now you look at this, bloom, they have a 1080. A few weeks later, 1070. A few weeks later, 1060. A few weeks later after that, there's a different 1060.
Yeah.
And now we have the Titan X. So it's like I think it could also be a way of trying to get everybody who's going to buy a new card this year to buy NVIDIA and not get any of the new AMD cards coming out.
I was thinking the exact same thing, because really, what was the need for the 1063 gigabyte?
They were just, I think that's supposed to be, as of right now, that's going to be the go-to MOBA card.
Well, yeah, and then you know what? You got to think about it this way too. And this is why I think there still might be a 1080 Ti. I see what you're saying with the no room, but on a marketing value, it behooves them not to drop a Ti and squeeze it in there somehow, just for name value, because all the fanboys are going based on that. Like people are waiting on that Ti to drop. That name, that label is really what it is, because the 970 runs most games. If you're not like looking for a card that'll really put everything maxed out and you can live with basic styles of games, and you're not used to it, like you're looking at maybe like 30 frames a second, 40 frames a second, and you don't really care to hit those 60 marks and things like that. And you can play the game and it's feasible. People were buying the 970s with the whole 3.5 fiasco and all that. They didn't care. They were buying them because it was more affordable. So if you drop a 1080 Ti in the mix, it now lowers the 1080 price. So you sell a shitload of more of those cards to people who just want to be in the 1080 group, and then the people who just want the namesake of, oh yeah, I got the 980, I got the 1080 Ti. Which people who got the know-how are gonna like, so what, dude? The Titan is still crushing that, so on and so forth. But for that namesake, it's what'll make them money to drop in betweens until the next generation comes out, like Dustin was saying, and then the next generation will really have an impact on people who are actually looking for numbers and looking for what the card can handle. But for the larger percentage of people who are buying these cards, it's I want to have the good name, but I want to be able to afford it. So like myself, I'm never gonna buy a Titan X. As much as I love all this stuff, I'm never gonna drop $1,200 on a graphics card. What I mean?
But I think most people wouldn't. Like Dustin was saying, it's not meant for everybody in the long run on
people and gamers. I'm
gonna go in right here. I'm doing more things. I'm actually trying to get into some healthcare deep learning stuff. So that was kind of another reason why I went for these. It wasn't just for
right. No, yeah, and I know that people like yourself that buy a shitload of this stuff at these higher prices. You have actual real uses for it for the most part.
Yeah,
You know,
I'm trying to get
there's
into the whole deep learning thing. I'm trying to get into some folding. I was really trying to get the Asus X99 workstation IPMI, which is basically more of a server kind of features, which was kind of what my whole build goal was. And then I was going to actually get one of the 1600 Xeon series that's unlocked and kind of
Oh
overclock
yeah.
a Xeon, which was my whole goal. But then I found out that the Broadwell versions of the unlocked Xeons, there is no unlocked Xeon. They're apparently locked.
Because of competition with Broadwell and Xeon.
I don't know what they're doing, but so basically, and plus the 1680 V4 only goes up to 8 cores, and it tops out at 4 gigahertz. So I mean, a lot of stuff changed. So I mean, after that, I was like, well, I'm just gonna go for more cores, and I'll just go for the RB10. And then, because I like some of the RB10 because they have some more of the features that I can find useful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
see, and the thing is, Dustin, like I said, like yourself, you're buying it for purposes. You have actual purposes, you know, ahead of the game. You're thinking ahead of the game, like what I'm going to use it for down the stretch. You know, I mess with you all the time and tell you, yeah, you're buying these monster rigs for overclocking, and then you sit there and stare at it till the next card comes out. But truthfully, there are members in our group that have bought 2 Titan X's and SLI them and have no idea what they do, and have no idea how to overclock them. They're just putting them in their machine for you know, for that 4K impact.
For the enthusiast aspect of it.
You know, and it's like, you know, but like I look at it and I say, okay, market value. If they drop a 1080 Ti, I don't care what it does. I know that people are going to jump all over it.
Oh, it'll
And
sell like hotcakes. Every TI series card does.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what's going to happen. And I think that NVIDIA knows that, and they know that, you know, if I drop this card, even though if it's shit, or, you know, it doesn't do half of what it's supposed to do, in the minds of people who think it's going to give them this huge jump from a regular 1080, it doesn't matter, because they're still going to cut a $1 off of that, and then they're going to cut another $1 off of just the regular 1080s, because it'll drop a little bit in price without making people feeling like they bought a piece of shit card, and bam, you know, they're.
Well, I think even also, like, you got the 1080 at its what is it, like $700 or something like that, and then
well, the Founders Edition is $700. I think the 1080 classified from EVGA, I think that goes to like $750.
Yeah, it's like I know. Yeah, the EVGA, didn't they just come out with like a all-in-one water-cooled version for like $740 or something like that? But
yeah, they're doing water-blocked versions, kind of like the MSI Seahawk.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go into that issue real quick. So apparently, EK and EVGA used to be homeboys. And we used to have the custom water block for the
Yeah, because they did all their hydrocopper stuff, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I think EVGA is doing their own stuff now. Don't quote me on that. And
They're getting into a lot of their own stuff lately.
Yeah, 'cause I mean, even the Maxwell series hybrid cards with the little 1 and 120 all-in-one coolers, those were, I think, they were made by them, and they were made to be for GPUs, not meant to be for CPUs, but we're going to use them for GPUs like MSI and Corsair.
So do you think EVGA is going to start being a direct competitor for EK or what?
They're just going to do their own stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I don't know about that competitor.
In business, there's basically comes down to 2 options. You either make it or you buy it. Generally, it comes to like machinery. So they say, well, we bought it, let's make it.
Yeah. Well, they've gotten into real weird things since I can remember. Like they've had like RAM sticks. I don't know who made them. They have their own cases, a whole line of their own cases, power supplies, of course.
But the power supplies, they don't make their own power supplies.
They're made by Superflower.
Superflower, yeah.
So I mean, I know what you're saying. I get what you're saying too. I know that EVGA. I mean, I'm still a pretty big EVGA customer, and they still send me these things where like, would you like EVGA? How do you feel about EVGA making this or making that? You know, and they send me these surveys and shit. So I think Dustin is right on point with that. Like I think that either they're gonna outsource it and relabel it as their own shit, or they're going to actually, you know, start making some of their own stuff. Like I know the power supplies are outsourced. So are those RAM sticks are outsourced. The cases they're making in-house. The graphics cards they're making, of course. You know, the motherboards they're making, of course. I think they're making this wave of motherboards actually. The previous one, they were outsourced, I believe, as well. But I think you're right, Justin. I think that they're going to start making more of their products in house that they can afford to make and still turn a profit. Where like the power supplies, they're not going to be able to do that, turn a good profit. So they might as well have them outsourced, stuff like that. So
Well, not only
And
that,
their new case looks nice. That DG. You see
Yeah,
that
order-
thing?
the one that's supposed to be facing towards you, the wide
Yeah.
way.
yeah, it looks like a television. I ordered one of those. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully in this next wave, I'll be getting my shit.
It actually really surprised me how good looking of a case that is.
I will say that they're the Hadron Airs and the Hadron Waters. You guys ever seen those?
Yeah.
They're stupid tiny. They come with like a 500-watt power supply.
Yeah, I was
Oh.
just looking at them yesterday. Some of those come pre-water, built for water, right?
Yeah, I think it just comes with like rad radiator holders, just places to put radiators.
Hmm.
But those are perfect for like I've seen some like the ITX 970s and mini ITX motherboards, and they're pretty good little cases. They're tiny as shit, but you can
Yeah, they
get.
do look really tiny.
But I mean, you can
Well,
get like an R9 Nano, a 970 ITX, a 960 ITX, and the new 1060 ITX version. You can also
Right.
get those in there. They're really good for stupid small systems.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, a lot of people are going to them small form factor systems now.
Oh yeah, I've seen them a lot more lately.
Yeah.
I can't do it, man. My hands are too big, dude. My hands are too big. I don't fit inside the cases. I used to have a half case, the Cooler Master half. I forget which is the 9 something, and it was a mid tower. And dude, I used to cut my hands on this, like trying to get in there and do the cable management. I'd cut my fucking fingers and the sides of my hands trying to fit my hand in there. And I was like,
Dude,
that's,
you just gave me nightmares. You just gave me nightmares. I just remembered. It's completely sort of unrelated. You remember the old car style fans that they put on AMD cards, like the 69, 70s, the ones that had the real sharp fins?
sharp
They're
fins.
completely open.
Yeah. Horrible, man. I was in. Dustin probably knows what I'm talking about. The ones that had like the fins that came out like this all around the shroud. I was using my air compressor and I was blowing the fan out in my card one day, and I went to go stop the fan and just sliced my entire finger off of that thing, man. It was horrible.
Nice.
That reference blower, man. It had like razor blades coming off of there.
Yeah, reference they go stupid fast. The blowers,
Oh yeah.
like 5
Those 69, 70s in Crossfire, they sounded like my computer was about to be a drone.
My mini
That's
ITX
why-
system actually does sound like that. I have 6 140 millimeter Noctua Industrials, and they're the 3K versions.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow.
They'll do that,
Oh yeah.
but
Not them Noctua fans supposed to be real quiet though.
not the
The
industrial.
three
That-
the
Oh,
3K
oh.
ones.
Yeah.
Honestly, they designed these fans for more than just computers.
Oh yeah.
And anything that gets like hot, because the ones I got are they're dust and waterproof, so they're good
Oh,
for
nice.
kind of like dusty or moist environments.
Right.
But I have a 980 Ti Kingpin in there, and under full load with an X61 280 millimeter all-in-one, I can keep it at about 35C.
That's
Jesus.
pretty insane.
35.
35C, and then
Oh,
I also
God.
have a 6700K at 1.455 volts, which is stupid high. I don't recommend that unless either one, you know what you're doing, or two, you accept the fact that shit can go completely wrong.
It might at some point just
And it's stable?
smoke.
It's stable.
What?
I can do. That's what I did. All of my my Titan X Hall of Fame records, I did them all in a row at 5.0 at 1.455 volts. Another thing
Man,
that I do is funky. I actually lock it at 1.455 volts.
Wow.
So it's
Wow.
24/7, 1.455 volts.
I got 2 questions for you because of that. Number 1, have you ever had problems where you can OC something and lock the voltage really high in the beginning, but as this card starts aging, you're having mad problems with that voltage being so high.
I only do
Because
my CPU. I don't mess with voltages on graphics cards. Like my 980 Ti Kingpin, that's just stock.
okay.
With a lot of these cards, you just gotta keep them cool. It's all
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
with at least Turbo Boost 2.0. It was like you keep the temps down, they're gonna boost up. At a certain point, you did need volts, but not where I was going with temperatures and overclocks.
Right.
What we need to figure out is somebody needs to figure out. I'm sure it's out there already. Figure out Turbo Boost 3.0 because that's supposed to take voltage and temps into account.
Yeah, it definitely seems different. I was watching some OC videos of Pascal cards, which I don't own, and it seems like it's a little trickier.
That Kraken that you have on your older cards, on your 980s, does that help a lot with your overclocking? I'm thinking about picking one of those up or waiting for you to get rid of yours.
I'm keeping the X61s. That's in my mini ITX system. That's like my LAN rig. Because it's stupid powerful, and it's more portable than what I'm actually about to build. But I would recommend it because.
Hey, Yog, not Fred. Thanks for the follow, buddy.
Which 980 Ti do you have at the moment?
I have the G1.
G1. Okay.
The gigabyte.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, you can even do a 140 millimeter rad, and then just get the Kraken G10 bracket.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes on super easy. Except for people always say it like, but what about the VRMs? But if you look at my card, if with the air cooler on there under full load at about 70°C, you cannot touch the backplate. It'll burn you. With my setup,
Jesus,
you can touch the backplate all day under full load. So I mean, it cools everything because you actually have a fan. I think it's a 90 millimeter fan that just blows on it. And if you look at a lot of these graphics,
and that's right on the unit, right? That's right on the Kraken bracket.
Yeah.
That little fan that's on there, that 90 millimeter.
Yeah. So there's a little 80 millimeter fan that goes on there. But if you look at a lot of like graphics cards, if you take out the air coolers, I mean, there's not really anything touching.
You also gotta remember that with the Kraken, that fan is continuous, whereas with the regular fans that come on there, if you got EVGA, those 3.0s and the ones that come on there, those fans go on and off, constantly. They're turning on and off until the load gets heavy enough to force them to turn on and stay on.
Right.
Whereas like the Kraken's going to be on from jump shoots, so it's keeping it nice and cool the whole time.
I actually have that fan connected to my motherboard. I can control it from my motherboard.
So you control it for your mother. Do you actually control it though, or do you just let it roll?
Honestly, I would probably do better off with a fan to Molex adapter.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm going to do, because the Kingpin has like a huge amount of phases, so the load is split up a lot more. But with the Titan X, there's less phases, so the load is going to be heavier on each little phase. So I'm thinking about doing is actually getting I'm probably going to get a faster fan or a more CFM fan. And since I already have the 640 millimeter 3Ks that sound like a freaking screaming, may just get like something ridiculous and then just put that on that.
Is there any room to I have a friend who had an AMD card and it had the fans on there, and what he did was when the fans went to hell, he modded it a little bit and he actually put 120s on there. And I was like, you really put 120? And he used like zip ties and shit and it looked like hell. But I was thinking with the Kraken, because it's got that hole, can you actually just get in there with a Dremel tool, make that hole bigger, and fit a bigger fan in there?
Well, if you can look at pictures probably online. If you look, you can put. It's got fan holes for different things, but what I would recommending is just going for a thicker fan there, like what are they called? They move air stupid fast. You can get like 3K, 4K fans, but they're like I don't know, like just stupid fat, and you could put one of those there. But I mean,
Okay, I
another
see
thing
what
you want to
you're
look at, it's not about how fast they move, it's about the CFM.
Yeah.
So,
For
I mean,
sure.
my fans, each one of my fans is 154 CFM. So I mean, if you have 154 CFM times 2,
Yeah, you're moving
that's what
some
I have
air.
for my CPU radiator.
Yeah.
And then for my GPU, I have 154 times 4 because I have push-pull on that.
I actually learned about a year ago I learned like case pressurizing from actually Kruger, who's probably, I don't know if he's still here, but I learned that from him because the way I have my case set up, I wasn't getting the right airflow. I mean, I had 100 fans in that motherfucker, but it just wasn't set up correctly. So when he explained it to me and I realized like the directions of the fans actually mattered. It wasn't just about like, you know, two blowing out here and one blowing out over there. um it changed the temps in my PC like completely, like complete everything dropped down like completely, um because I flipped some fans around, and then I did some push pull on my rad. So you know, I had the exhaust going out the back and the intakes coming from the front and exhausting through the top, so it was like a complete difference. So that's why I was like, as I'm getting more into cooling so that I can start learning overclocking and stuff like that, because I'm not, like I said before, you know, I don't have any overclocking experience whatsoever. So as I get into that realm, that's what I'm most concerned about, like blowing my shit, you know, like overclocking and damn, there goes my video card, or there goes
See,
my
there's
CPU.
so many
It's
protections.
cooking.
As long as you're
You
not doing
really can't do it in Precision X or MSI Afterburner. Really,
so
it's hard.
number one, as long as you're not doing any hard mods. Number two, as long as you're not doing any soft mods like different BIOS, then really not going to do anything. What's going to happen is you're going to artifact and it'll crash, and that's it.
Yeah, it'll
Yeah.
crash whatever you're overclocking with.
Yeah.
I tried to follow directions on Linus Tech overclocking once, and I had a 660 graphics card, and like after I tried to follow the directions he had on there, it didn't work anymore. The card, I couldn't get the card to work anymore. I redid everything, and like the card was, I could literally smell the card cooking. But then again, he was like, "What did you change the voltage?" And I was like, "Well, according to Linus Tech, yeah, I changed the voltage." And he was like, "That's where you went wrong. You probably toasted your card." So yeah, after that, the fear of death came upon me, and I was like, "Never again." You know, never again.
I don't know
the
what you had
driver
going on there, but it's hard
So
to
many
really
safety
do.
measures in place.
Yeah, most time the driver will literally, I mean, especially nowadays, like technology and the software for these video cards has just gotten so, you know, advanced that, you know, the driver for these video cards, if it sees, you know, irregular, or however you want to say it, issues like that, it'll shut the card down, or it'll shut the driver down, and it'll, you know,
Or just simply throttle itself.
yeah, if you're
Well,
lucky.
I recently tried the G1 and to do it a little bit overclocking, and that's what it did. Like it played for like 10 minutes. I was playing Battlefield 4. It played for like 10 minutes, and then my screen went black, and I was like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah.
And then my computer restarted, and then when it restarted, and I went back in to see the overclocking, it had reverted back to the original settings, and I was like, "Oh shit!" It just fixed itself. And then I went on and played for another hour, and I was like, "Okay, I guess it didn't like that overclock setting," and I just left it like that.
Yeah.
So what I would recommend for people who overclock to play games is you either start with your GPU or your CPU. You make sure that that's stable, then you go and do the other one.
Yeah.
If you overclock both at the same time and neither one is validated, you're not going to know where it is.
Yeah.
And then you're just going to get frustrated and you're not going to get anywhere.
Yeah.
So with like anything in your system, you do one thing, you validate, then you go on to the next thing.
Yeah, and I would definitely recommend doing the graphics card first. Just for one, it's a lot easier to, you know, just boost the core clock a little bit. You know, basically find that peak, and you know, see if it's enough. You know, sometimes, you know, you might overclock it enough to where it's more than enough to run whatever game you're running, and then you don't have to overclock your CPU. You know, and then yeah.
Well, okay, so in my instance, I actually did need to overclock my CPU, but I'll get to that in a second. But another thing you want to do is you don't want to overclock memory and core at the same time either.
Yeah.
You want for GPUs, you want to do. I recommend doing core first because generally that's where you're going to get
Most of your power.
all dim FPS.
Yeah.
And then you go to memory. I mean, memory will help a little bit, but you want to do stable. So you always do just one thing at a time. You validate, then you move on.
Yeah, I would just drag when I was doing my 780 Ti Kingpin SLI and I was doing Valley benchmark tests. I would just drag the power, target, and the temp all the way up the sliders, and then just go real incrementally on the core. And I never even had to touch memory. I was getting on the 780 Ti Kingpins. I was jumping over 1500 megahertz easy on air.
Yeah,
I had some shit ass 780 Ti's. I couldn't even hit 1200 on water with BIOS.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know what was going on with mine. Mine weren't even, my ASICs weren't even that high. It was just I was getting some artifacts once I started bumping it up too high, but I just dropped the slider back down.
That was Turbo Boost 1.0, which all it took into account was voltage, I believe.
Wow.
So I mean, heat really didn't matter as much. I don't think you'd have too much like downclocking to higher. You'd obviously hit your throttle point where it would start, but until then, I think the Kepler cards would just keep going.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, a lot of the before when I first got them, I didn't have to mess with them at all. They were boosting themselves really high.
Yeah, those were stupid prices until Pascal came out. The Kingpin 780 Ti's, you can get those for about 300, 350.
Right now, you mean?
No, right before Pascal came out.
Oh, I was gonna say, because when I bought them, they were $865 each.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I bought them. I was gonna put them underwater, and then I just didn't.
Yeah, I don't think water necessarily mattered as much as it does now. And I mean,
yeah, that's one of the reasons why I didn't do it. I thought I was going to, and then I was like, well, why do I have to? This temps are stable, and I can get really fast speeds out of them. What's the need, you know?
Yeah, I mean, and then with Pascal, there's this thing I'm dubbing it. I call it fan overclocking.
Yeah.
And basically, if you do
fan curves.
Basically, you just max your fan to 100%. But what will happen is not only will, if you look at like MSI, you'll see with the stock fan curve, you'll see a bunch of this for core clock. Then you max your fan, and then it's not moving as much. Not only is it not moving as much, you're getting higher things for it.
Yeah.
I see.
So I'm just, I don't know. But,
it's able to stay cooler.
It's able to stay, but it's not only are you boosting higher, it's more stable. What I mean by more stable, it's not, the clock isn't bouncing around as much.
Yeah.
It's letting GPU boost do its work then, right?
Yeah, because like I said, the two things it takes into account is voltage and temps.
Yeah.
You keep them temps lower, and I was able to keep all three of my Titan X's with at nighttime in the 50s. I'd open up all the windows in my house. I just turn this thing into ice box. I set him to 100% fan, and I can keep him at about 55 C.
Why can I just imagine you in wintertime in your living room or the kitchen with like both doors open in a winter coat, just sitting there like with LN2 pods, just dumping liquid nitrogen on your stuff, like Hall of Fame.
At that point, LN2 it could be 100 degrees inside, and it's not gonna matter.
Yeah, that's true.
But
Number one.
My dog loves the cold, so in the wintertime we're gonna be chilling with everything open, doing some stuff.
Oh, see, I can't get away with that. Of course, I'm in the basement. I'm like that stereotypical dude in the basement, you know. But it gets pretty cool down here.
Dustin's next build is going to be inside a mini fridge. He's gonna actually build the PC in the fridge and then just close the door.
Pretty sick though.
Well, actually, here I'm going to show you. So
that won't work.
I'm building my PC in a rack enclosure, and right beneath the rack enclosure, you see that?
Yeah.
That's AC comes out of there.
Oh.
Nice.
Just blow straight into
I shut off all the vents in the house except for that one.
Just cut a hole in the enclosure and put a piece of like pipe from that to your vent, so it doesn't cool your room, it just cools your computer.
Yeah, you know that stuff that you use for like your dryer, so like the heat from the dryer goes out the thing, you know that silver metal tubing like that.
Exactly.
Get a piece of that, duct tape it around the whole enclosure so it only goes in to that one area, and then just cut a hole in your box, put it right into the side of that. Instant air intake. Be blowing it
Yeah.
fucking
Or do what that
winter time in there.
do what that one dude did. I can't remember the video, but the guy put a Hyper 212 Evo on a video card, and that thing was a yeah.
The thing is massive.
Yeah. What you do is you take that vent that you got, and you take some like ducking to control the airflow, and just have that Evo like in between the intake and the exhaust of the cold air coming out of that vent, and just have it going through right through the grill of the Hyper tube, the
Yeah.
Evo.
And if you get a real big motherboard, you can put them in like a couple of slots apart, and then just SLI 2 cards with Hyper 212s on them.
We're just being
I
ridiculous.
mean, you can even
now.
do a layout. You have 2 cards that are like this, with a stupid long SLI ribbon,
Oh yeah.
and you just stick them on top of each other.
The bridge extenders or whatever they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you use the 4-way SLI bridge to SLI 2 cards really far apart?
I believe you can.
There you go.
I even have one of those old Asus 3-way bridges with space.
So do I.
Just gotta get the cheap one. Stop buying the expensive bridge. You know, that one that's like all flexible. And
Yeah,
then
that's-
that just
this one is
snap it in.
flexible.
Yeah, that's the one I have. I have like my bridge is like that as well. Because those hard bridges from EVGA, if it don't fit, it just don't fit. So you get stuck.
You want to know what ASRock did? Because I've got an ASRock motherboard,
Dude.
and I'm running an AMD. Okay, AMD motherboard. Well, I mean, I guess I didn't think about that for a second. Sorry, that's a brain fart. But I'm running a Radeon graphics card as well. Yeah, they sent one of them little flimsy little freaking things, and I was like, I'll throw that piece of shit away.
Hey, they work, man. They work. When you get that
Yeah.
gap in the middle, you put them on the card first, and then insert the card into the
Well-
the port. You're like, yeah, look at that, it fit.
Well, the luckily thing about where I live in Cincinnati, I'm literally like 10 minutes away from a micro center.
Oh yeah,
See, why do all of you guys have these nice shops so close to your house? Like, I'm watching video. Alvis puts a video on CMR on Facebook, and it's like
A crate.
a crap ton of 980 Ti's on a thing, and I'm like, dude, why can I not have this in my life?
So this is what I have near me. So in Fremont, I have a Fry's. Sunnyvale, there's a Fry's. And there's another one, and there's like 5. I live within the proximity of probably 55 miles. I live within 5 Fry's.
You know what I have? Best Buy.
You have nothing. Best Buy.
You know what they sell at Best Buy? You know, I can get me one of them brand new.
Best Buy sold some custom 970s with those Fallout 4 backplates.
Yeah, like
Don't
they
lie.
had like one of them in every store, like one.
Don't lie to me. Don't lie to me, Dustin. You know what? I still go there to this day, and I'll see like GTX 660.
That's a beast card. I know what you're talking about.
660.
Yeah.
Not only that, you have to look at the price they're asking for. It's like new from 12 years ago.
Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly.
Hey guys, I gotta get going.
Yeah, I've only got about 10 minutes too.
Yeah.
I gotta go.
Yeah, just give a closing statement for the video or whatever. Thanks for seemed like it was a pretty good show for the first time. I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah.
It was
And
definitely
I
fun.
can talk about this shit all day.
Well, and that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Is like, I mean, if you look at the group, it's just a constant feed of this same stuff that we've been discussing, and I think it'll be pretty cool once more people start getting in. You know, we could, you know, we get going. We have 6-7 hour freaking streams, you know. But yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I feel though that today the lack of Dustin's dog in the stream was what held us back from hitting 100 viewers.
Yeah.
So I
Look
think-
at
I think
how
that's not-
enthused he is right now.
I think he needs to be awake for the next stream, and he needs to be on camera. You know,
I know what it
Start
is.
making those noises.
He activates once Dustin starts overclocking. That's when he comes to life.
But yeah, I want to say
Kinda
thanks to everybody for tuning into the stream. If you look down below the stream, there, I believe it's the social. There is a link to the group. If you're definitely into computers and stuff, come check us out. We're very active. And then I'm actually going to be setting up the YouTube probably this evening. I've got the video. It looks like it ran for just under an hour and a half, an hour and 27 minutes. So that'll probably be fun rendering that. Other than that, thanks for tuning in, everybody, and we'll see you on the next show.
Yep.
Thanks
Guys.
again.
I'm gonna see if we get Kruger in here one day too, man. He's got a lot of knowledge on stuff.
Yeah.
Thanks for having
Yeah,
me,
dude.
yo.
Yep. Have a good one, guys.
Yep. You too.